Sal Berry.
But you're forgetting about Puck Attacks. Puck Attack!
I think we're all forgetting about that.
And Tim Parish.
If I was any better, I'd be twins.
The Sedin twins or the Sutter twins?
Either or. They both have millions of dollars.
We're going into ridiculousness over here.
Going off the rails.
This is the Puck Junk Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Puck Junk Podcast. Sal Berry here along with Tim Parish, and today, like last week and like every week, we're going to talk about hockey and hockey cards. Tim, how you doing today?
I am fantastic.
Let me ask, why were your kids' baseball games canceled?
Was
it raining?
Well, yeah. It's a long story, but at least for today. So my older son plays in a wood bat league, and long story short, they were supposed to play at the Gary South Shore Railcat Stadium. But apparently the Railcats grounds crew couldn't keep up with the rain from over the weekend and get the fields ready. So they've postponed it again another week. So we're already 3 weeks pushed back on the schedule for that league. So it's been fun.
Yeah,
Fall baseball is always awesome.
Yeah, when you have to wear long sleeves or a jacket, that's
baseball
fun.
Baseball in November is not my idea of a good time. But
yeah,
what are you gonna do?
In March can also be really cold. I mean, I remember going to a Cubs game actually in April and freezing, and being at a. I've been cold at hockey games too, and I don't wear enough layers, or if I, just don't think about it. I should probably wear an extra. Maybe wear something under this jersey, or not just go in t-shirts and shorts. But baseball.
And it makes it even worse in a baseball field because there's generally nothing to block the wind. So anytime you go to the fields around here, it's 10 degrees colder than everywhere else.
Wow. So what I want to do is I want to talk about a couple of upcoming releases. Actually, one thing that's coming out in a little bit and another thing that just came out. So first I want to talk about the new 2019-20 Leaf Superlative set. So as most of us know, there are other companies besides Upper Deck that make hockey cards, hockey collectibles. Leaf is one of them, although they don't have an NHL license. They don't have an NHLPA license, which sometimes leads to some interesting or creative design choices on their cards. But I took a quick look at the sell sheet for Leaf Superlative, which is coming out October 18th. It's about $150 a box, which contains one premium hit per box. And that's it. It's one card, one box, $150. I'll tell you what really caught my eye were some of the cards had 6 or 8 autographs on them. There were ones called All-Star Ink 6 and All-Star Ink 8 that either had 6 or 8 autographs per card, 3 on the front, 3 on the back, or 4 on the front, 4 on the back. They had another one that was really cool called Old Time Hockey, which had 8 pieces of memorabilia and 8 little portrait pictures of the players. And this was all on the front side of the card. 8 per side. That's crazy. That's a lot. And those are really small swatches too, but it's still a pretty cool presentation. Then they had something called Signature Sweaters, which had 6 swatches, 6 autographs, and 6 photos. So they're actually using the player headshots, which I like. And I think when you have that many pieces of memorabilia or autographs, you can get away with just showing a head and shoulder shot, and nobody would be like, oh, that's dumb, you can't see the logo on the jersey. But speaking of jersey logos, they're also doing cards where they're just basically taking a piece of a logo and putting it on a card. They showed one that was it was a dual Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr card that used a Penguins patch, the Conceited Swan, as I call it. The Conceited Swan was their 1992-93 going forward logo. So using pieces of that, 2 of those on one card. And then they had a couple other things, spectacular swatch signatures, which had large patch pieces, fight straps, or something like that, along with a signature, superlative signature shields. Really have a thing for alliteration here. An autograph plus an NHL logo from a jersey, which looked kind of nice. A fight strap and an NHL logo. I guess an NHL logo from a jersey and anything will look pretty cool together. Have you collected any of the Leaf cards in the past?
Not while they were not after In the Game and Leaf combined. I used
Okay.
to do the In the Game stuff all the time.
Hmm.
I never really got into the Leaf cards for the very reason that it was kind of the whole risk reward thing. Like you said, it's one box, it's one pack, it's one card, and you're talking $150 price tag on it. But I look at them all the time, and I've picked up individual cards for some of my player PCs,
Hmm.
just on the secondary market, but I've never actually bought a box retail from anything. I did look at some of these mock-ups of the cards that are going to be available in the set, and you're right, some of them are they're they're amazing as far as what the design is.
And I would like, I mean, honestly, you know where my heart lies. I like autographs. I'm not super huge into jersey cards. I would be disappointed if I got a card that had a piece of jersey. I mean, even if it was a piece of a logo from a jersey, I'd still just be kind of a little disappointed, like for $150, because if you think about it, just a jersey by itself card, if you look at something like from like a box of artifacts or a box of black diamond or a box of something that has like a really good patch, I mean, $100 maybe. I mean, obviously it varies depending on who the player is, but I mean, to
Right.
me, we all have like thresholds. We look at like a common jersey card that has like a white swatch. We're like, that's a $3 card, right? $5 card maybe if it's a good player, but and if it's a better piece of the jersey or piece of the logo, yeah, I just don't know if it's 150. So I always kind of look at like what's the worst card I can get and would I still be happy? And if not, then I usually stay away. And if I could take the risk, that's okay too. Or if it's a set that I want to build, then like every now and then, like say artifacts, I'll be like, I want to build the set, and well, actually, I don't have. I don't know if they do jersey cards and those anymore. We'll find out soon when we review artifacts. But um, yeah, so to me that seems like a big risk, and I don't know if I want to take that for $150 for one card.
And
And we
I can
we
see
think we're
that.
gonna get the one that has the 8 autographs on it, and we're gonna get
Sure.
the one that has the fight strap from Joey Kosher.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why I've shied away from it too. But from looking at what Leaf has thrown out there, especially on Twitter, with the tease of kind of one from each of their subsets, I guess, that are
Hmm.
coming on there. All the ones that have jersey pieces on them,
Hmm.
from what I could tell, they either had an autograph to go with them, or the jersey piece was some kind of patch swatch. The
Hmm.
only plain jersey swatches I saw were of the old time Hall of Famers, like
Hmm.
the Gordie Howe or the um, Rocket Richard, or
Hmm.
guys of that caliber. Most of the folks that played in the 80s and 90s and onward, looked like the pieces were multicolor or something like that. So not straight up a boring plain white swatch,
No.
but you know, again, you're back to, okay, is what you're going to pull a $150 card? I don't know that answer. Maybe it's
Right.
a $1,000 card. Maybe it's a $20 card. I don't know. I
Right.
haven't seen the whole set checklist, so I don't know what's all in there, and if there's a bigger bust than there is boom.
They're
So
also doing cut signatures from like deceased Hall of Famers. Guys from like the 20s and 30s. So I mean, there's some exciting stuff in there. I
yeah,
just I don't know. It's maybe not my thing, but I think if you're into like the high end stuff, then it's probably worth a shot. Now, going to the other end of the spectrum, going from the very high end to the very low end, maybe I know some people are biased against stickers. Stickers are almost like lower than cards. You have your jersey cards and autograph cards, your short print cards, your base cards, and then below that you have stickers, just collectible stickers, right? Which don't get the same respect. I mean, a Mario Lemieux Topps rookie card, maybe it's $100 card. His O-Pee-Chee sticker from that year, not $100 thing, maybe $20, maybe $10. I mean, I don't know. There's not as solidified of a market for it. I mean, there's price guides, and then there's people who will just sell you the whole album for like $20 with all the stickers. So Topps, as we talked last week, is making their sticker set, which is going to come out in November, and we'll talk about that when it comes out. But I found this actually surprising. I was just scrolling through Facebook, and they advertised on Facebook that they were going to be doing Topps Now stickers, which surprised me. But then when I thought about it, I'm like, well, they did do the Topps Now in their Skate mobile app. But I didn't really think about it because they were still digital cards. They just had a Topps Now logo on it. So It was just like, it didn't really impress me. It was like, oh, okay, yeah, this thing happened yesterday, and now they're making a Topps Now digital card about it, and you can get it for 24 hours or until 2,000 of them are pulled or whatever. Like, who was that goalie? Was it Jeff Glass, the one that they called up a couple years ago, and he made like his NHL debut at like 32, and then Topps Now put out like a card of him in their
Was it Glass?
wasn't it?
Was it Glass, or was that the guy from the Blackhawks?
Wasn't Glass the Blackhawk?
Was he? I'm confused.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Cody Glass is on the he's on the Golden Knights, but anyways, so what yeah, it was Jeff Glass. But anyway, so what they're doing now is so this week until Thursday, they're selling a 9-card pack of stickers for $7.49 plus tax. And then they're throwing in a free album. And each week they're going to put out 9 stickers, a pack of 9 stickers that you'll put in this album. I think that's kind of interesting because Topps is doubling down literally on the whole sticker thing. With their Topps Now, I mean, they can't do cards, so they can't even do like their Topps Now cards like they do for baseball, but they can do them as stickers. And so instead of just buying 1 sticker, 2 stickers, they're just going to sell you 9 at a time. There's an album, so you kind of have incentive to get them all and not just pick and choose like maybe with the baseball cards. You might just say, oh, that's my favorite player, I'll buy that card, or that's my favorite team, I'll buy that card. But here you kind of have like a reason to buy them all. So far, they've revealed 4. The Blues raising their championship banner. Austin Matthews game in the Maple Leafs debut game a couple of nights ago. Connor McDavid card and a Capo Caco card, and then plus another 5 stickers, which they haven't announced yet. So that's the dealio with that. What's your thoughts on that?
So I was trying to find some more information about these earlier, kind of looking through, because I know we had chatted briefly about it a couple days ago, and I'm still trying to figure out what exactly or what format the sticker album is taking. Is it like the old sticker albums where there'll be a small space with a number on it that's where you stick that sticker, or is it going to be set up kind of like maybe like a 9-pocket page where you just slide the sticker in? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Well, I will tell you, they did show the backs of one of them, and it did look like a sticker. It said number 1, and then it had like a whole bunch of copyright information. Okay. Stickers usually don't have stats on the back of them because you peel the backing and you throw it away. So the backing, at least what they showed, because they showed the backing for the first sticker, it literally just looked like a throwaway thing. Like it just had sticker number 1, and then it had like all the NHL and NHLPA copyrights, and then I think it reiterated it in French, and then it was, that was it. So there'd be no point in putting it in a page, in like a 9-pocket page. But yeah, that's an interesting thought.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at is what's the market for a sticker album? Are we marketing these to kids again with stickers? I don't know that the average collector is going to go after stickers. I'm just being honest.
No, you're
Um,
right.
but at the same time, these are the Tops Now stickers, and if you follow Tops Now, it's just like you said. These are immediate immediate production of an event that occurred, and they're only available for a limited time, a week in the case of these, and you can buy them, and once they're gone, they're gone. And then the only way to get them again from a physical standpoint would be to buy them on the secondary market. So you're looking at paying $7.50 or $7.49 plus tax, whatever it is, from Tops every single week throughout the season, as long as they keep doing this.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I
Well, I
mean,
mean, I
normally
imagine.
you buy a sticker pack, like back when Panini did stickers. Okay, so
Hmm.
you buy a book for a buck 50, whatever it would cost.
Hmm.
Sometimes they would give you a book.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of times at the promotions at the local card shops for Father's Day or National Hockey Card Day or whatever, you'd get a book. Um, but you buy packs for $1 to $1.20, I think was
Hmm.
most of the prices for them. Or you could buy a box of the stickers if you found somebody retail that was selling them for anywhere from 25 to $30 in most cases, when they would first come out. So yeah, so you spend $30 on a box and a sticker album and try to complete it and probably not and end up with a lot of doubles, or you get a free album and you just buy essentially the stickers that you need as you go. Um,
Right. And so just doing some quick math, figuring that the season's maybe like 9 months long, figure there's like roughly 4 weeks in a season. So you're looking at like 36 weeks, maybe we'll just say 36, and then multiply by 9 stickers a week. So that's 324 stickers. We're looking at like it's probably going to cost you probably close to $9 a week. Because it's 7.49, and then like I said, it was I saved 10%, which 75 cents. There was sign up for our email newsletter and get 10% off. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And so I did that. So, I mean, it came out to under $8 with the tax. The shipping is free if you do their like super saver shipping, which is
right.
fine. I'm not going to pay $13 to overnight the stickers to me because they'll
But
they're
you
not
really
even going to.
want them, don't you?
Yeah, I can wait though. I mean, come on. There's sets that I've been building for 25 years that I still need a few cards here and there. It's a waiting game. So, uh,
The marathon.
here's here's the interesting thing though, is that people have a different feeling about tops when it comes to hockey than they do, say, versus Panini when it comes to hockey. So let me ask you this, just hypothetically speaking, and I know there's a lot of intangibles, and I know you bought a lot of Panini product from 2010 to 2014. If that was Tops, got the co-exclusive license from 2010 to 2014 instead of Panini, do you think that would have played out differently? Do you think that the collectors would have been more drawn to it?
I will answer after one caveat. If, and if, this is only if, the design department for Tops would have made physical product just like they have for the last couple years on the Skate app, on the digital Skate app, with
Mm-hmm.
the designs of those cards and the inserts and such.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I guarantee everybody would have latched on to Tops Hockey way more so than Panini. Now, you know, like you said, some people are Panini people, some people are Tops people, some people are Upper Deck people. You have your preferences, I get it, but with I think a lot of what went down with Panini and their hockey releases
Mm-hmm.
may not have actually happened with Tops, because I think they would have sold a lot more
Yeah, I think
A
they would
lot
have sold
more.
better. So I know, again, stickers are not the same thing, but there are people who like Tops and Tops hockey, and I'm thinking that this Tops Now set is going to be successful for a couple of reasons. Because you buy it every week, you get the ones you want. If you like Tops and you like Tops hockey, you're probably going to give this a chance. And then the other thing is that maybe this is me being hypothetical now, but what would be really cool, it looks like they're going to do 9 stickers per page. It looks like they're making them trading card proportioned, like 2.5 by 3.5. So I'm thinking these are going to, they're going to sell you 9 at a time. I think 9's going to fill up a page. I wonder if they would, like, why not do 9 that look like, say, the 87-88 design, and then do another 9 that look like the 54-55 design, and then do another 9 that look like the 71-72 design, and then do another 9 that look like the 84-85 design. You see what I mean? Like, because they can't really, I'm assuming the book is going to be blank, because this is kind of like their version of Biography of a Season or Game Dated Moments, where
Well,
they're
because you
making,
don't know what it's going to be in there. You don't know what the checklist is going to be. You don't
right.
know what they're going to decide to make.
So it's just going to be blank spaces, maybe squares, maybe they're numbered, whatever, 1, 2, 3,
Right.
4, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. But they could just say, all right, cool, let's make these look like 86, 87 Tops, the next 9. And would people want to buy those?
I think they would, because everybody's up for a little nostalgia, and I think heritage type sets, historical type sets, and throwback sets, I think they do pretty well. Yeah, there's going to be a big market that's going to, jump on the Twitterverse and complain that it's overplayed and outdone and it's overdone and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a market for that. People like that kind of stuff. Um, I don't know that this would be the entry to them doing something like that,
Mm-hmm.
because Tops Now generally follows the same format. And I think if you followed Tops Now at all in any of the sports or any of the releases that they do, they generally look exactly the same throughout that whole entire
Mm-hmm.
cycle of printing them. So I
Gotcha.
imagine the design of these as they stand now is probably going to stick throughout the release. Um, but you never know. Like I said, it's Tops Now, so each week it's going to be something different. So
Well, I guess, yeah. Well, I'll find out when I get that first batch of stickers, and then we'll
yeah.
see what they put up next, or this upcoming Thursday, for the next set. But yeah, I'm all in on this. So I'm gonna, I ordered my first 9 stickers in the album, and I'm just gonna see where it goes.
So I wonder
Yeah,
if they're going to treat this like they do with the Tops Living set, where they, when they put up the new Tops Living cards, they're out for a while, and once they pull them, then they release what the actual print runs are, and they'll tell you, okay, we made this many of this card, this many of this card, this many of this card, so you can basically see who sold better than others, and it kind of dictates what happens on the secondary market.
yeah. They said they were gonna release the print runs once they're done selling them.
Okay.
Once they actually, they close sales for them, they print them up, and then, yeah, then they said they're gonna release that. So yeah, should be interesting if there's gonna be as futile as, I know a couple years ago they did a Tops Now card about the Chicago Fire soccer team breaking its, like, losing streak, and, like, it sold something abysmal, like 70 or 80 copies. I mean, it was
Wow.
ridiculous. Yeah, because, like, nobody cared. It was about the Chicago Fire soccer team breaking its losing streak, and that was a Tops Now card, and obviously 80 people cared. So it,
So what do they do in that case? I mean, that whole process is you print so many, they sell until they're done being sold, and then what? They break the printing plates, they smash them. Oh, I mean, what
I don't
happens?
know, they just don't make them again. I mean,
Oh,
everything's digital now. I mean, you don't really need the whole printing plate thing is kind of I don't even think that's really necessary anymore.
but how are they going to get their one of ones if they
I,
don't have printing plates?
well, then they make printing plates just for that reason, just so that they can put a sticker on it and say one of one printing plate. But yeah, I'm I'm kind of excited about that. I'm maybe a little more excited about the actual sticker set that's coming out in November. But I'm kind of glad to see Topps back in the game of making hockey cards, hockey stickers. Sorry. I mean, you know me. I mean, I like Upper Deck's cards, but I want competition. I know that's probably a conversation for another day. Are you going to collect the Topps hockey stickers, either the Topps Now or the sticker album that's coming out in November?
I don't know if I'm all in on the now ones, but probably the that main release that comes out in November.
Yeah. Well, you're going to need to buy like 3 boxes of them to get enough stickers.
Or maybe I won't be then.
Yeah, I know, right? But I mean, yeah, it's funny because like last year I spent like actually Panini was really starting to get their act together with the stickers because we all know how terrible the collation is on Panini hockey stickers.
Oh yeah.
The last 2 years I bought sticker boxes, the collation was sublime. Like I bought one box and I think it didn't have any doubles.
That's impossible.
No, or it had like something really small, like 5 doubles. I'm not exaggerating. I mean,
That's 'cause
the box breaks are posted to Puck Junk, so you could see them. And then like even like buying 2 boxes, like there were very few doubles between the 2 boxes. It was really nice. I was just
that's
like, wow,
surprising.
yeah,
That's
it
very
is.
surprising because those aren't designed to be sold that way. I mean, those are designed to be busted open in a retail environment and thrown on a shelf and just sold by the pack. So I don't
No,
think collation is ever really something that they care about because, you know, somebody buys 2 packs and the next person buys a pack and the next person and so on and so forth. It's not really
well, but
designed for one collector to be buying, an entire box
back in like the mid
necessarily.
90s, I'd like because they'd sell them at my supermarket, and I would like go and I'd buy like 50 packs at a time. I would just walk into this aisle and there'd be like a bunch of packs, and I would just scoop them all up. And it's funny because a friend of mine, he was with me, and he just looked at me and he said, "Wow, you don't mess around." And I looked at him and I said, "Well, why would I buy 1 or 2 packs if I know I'm going to need at least 50 to build a set?" And he's like, "Yeah, good point. Might as well just get it over with now, right?" But even then, I mean, the collation in 93, 94 was rotten. So, it's not going to be. I mean, but yeah, they really turned it around these past 2 years. So, that's too bad because I was actually really appreciating that aspect about Panini hockey. But whatever.
We'll see how Topps does.
So, you want to talk about some eBay auctions? Are these like the most expensive things that you found on eBay, or just the most noteworthy as far as hockey goes?
Yeah, so I've been kind of paying attention each week, on a weekly basis to kind of see from a hockey standpoint what's selling for the highest and really what the super mojo sales are for hockey cards and the like.
Sick
Um,
patch, bro. Sick
yeah,
patch.
exactly. I mean, because you know how everybody's crazy, in the market now about, for baseball, it's those baseball rookies like the Vlad Jr. and
Mm-hmm.
Acuna and all of that, and those are selling for way above their pay grade, I think, right now. And
Mm-hmm.
you've got the football quarterbacks, the the guy from the Jaguars, Minshew with the mustache and stuff. And I mean, these guys are selling for way above where they probably should be, but it's
Mm-hmm.
it's all that, um, it's all that promotion behind them and all of that buzz that they've created. And don't even get me started on the whole Zion Williamson stuff. That's a whole nother conversation for basketball. But
It's a whole different
so,
podcast, but yeah.
oh yeah, heck yeah. So I try to look at hockey sales at least with closed auctions in eBay. And this past week, there've been some doozies. On Earlier this week, an uncut sheet of 7980 O-Pee-Chee
Mm-hmm.
was sold. And this particular sheet featured the Wayne Gretzky rookie card.
Mm-hmm.
It had the Gordie Howe, it had the Bobby Hull, all
Mm-hmm.
showing on the interior portion of the sheet. So they
Mm-hmm.
weren't near an edge, they weren't near a border, which
Mm-hmm.
meant chances of them being in better condition was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the final value.
Oh, let me guess. Can I guess?
You can guess, sure.
Okay. I'm going to be off on this guess, but I'm
Okay.
going to say, all right, I'll do something high. I'll say $2,300.
Did you say 100?
$2,300.
You would be slightly undervaluing this particular item, as the final best offer that was accepted was $18,000.
$18,000.
Yes, 18,000, not 100. That's a 1 and an 8 followed by 3 zeros.
Okay, so what the buyer is obviously going to do is have them professionally cut apart, have the Gretzky graded, and then try to sell it for like $90,000 at auction, like a couple of years ago. Yeah,
Guaranteed. So this was actually listed for sale for quite a bit more. BMW Sports Cards is who sold this, and using various methods, you can find out how the best offers turn out. Generally, they don't show on eBay. You got to go through some other channels to find them. But yeah, that was the final. That was the final value, 18,000. So that was probably the biggest one. That was the biggest one for the past week. Some other notable ones. There was another one that sold. There was a 1617 Upper Deck the Cup Austin Matthews RPA numbered out of 99, which sold by Correct Connection Collections for 6,600.
6,600 for a rookie patch auto of
Austin Matthews from the Cup, not graded. Keep that in mind. That was not a graded card.
Do they need to be graded if they're numbered though? Like if it's, I mean, I wonder if that actually
should they, or will they? Those are three separate questions, because first of all, you have to be of the mindset that a graded card is going to bring you 10 times the value of what it would otherwise, because that's the standard rule. If you get a card graded a 9 or a 10, it's going to bring you 10 times what it would without getting that grade. So in essence, a $6,600 card graded at a 9 or a 10 is going to get you about $60,000 if you actually do the math correctly.
Well,
is that really going to happen?
No.
Probably not. But the idea is there, and there is precedent that has been set for graded versus ungraded sales, to where they've come up with that kind of general rule. So when you see something like that happen, it kind of blows your mind, especially considering that this was actually listed for more and they took the best offer. So,
I think that, like, if it's a vintage card and you say, I want to have the most pristine version of a Guy Lafleur rookie card ever, right? Then you look for that like PSA 9 or PSA 10 or whatever.
Sure, that's fair.
But I think if you're like saying, I want a rookie patch auto of Austin Matthews from the Cup, you're going to buy it whether it's graded or ungraded. I mean, as long as the ungraded one doesn't have any like flaws that you can notice.
Sure.
Because I think you're just going to buy it regardless. You know what I mean? Like, like you want the card, you're going to buy it. And, kind of like at that point, I think like it being graded is like a perk, but it's not like a necessity. Whereas with like an old card, you're like, no, I want this card to be in the best possible shape because there are many of them out there, but I want to have one that's absolutely best, something that's numbered to 99. There's only, 99 of them, and you're just going to try to buy the one, when you can find it, you're going to buy it.
Remember your market, though. The normal collector, even the Austin Matthews super collector, is not the guy or collector, guy, girl, whoever. I don't want to be sexist or genderist or whatever the word is. They're not the $6,600 buyer. The $6,600 buyer is the guy that's going to do exactly what you're saying. They're going to buy this card, they're going to get it graded, and they're going to try to flip it for at least double their money.
Right.
So
maybe even
that's
wait
where
a few years.
Sure, and that's where these things pop up. Because you remember, this is a Austin Matthews. This is a 3-year-old card. Technically, it's only a 2-year-old card since it's the Cup and it comes out the following year.
Right.
So anyway, moving on. I don't
Mhm.
want this to take forever, but so a lot of, not a lot like a bunch of, but a lot as in four O-Pee-Chee Wayne Gretzky graded cards sold. This would be
Rookies.
the 1981,
Oh,
the
80, 81.
83, the 84, and the 85.
Mm-hmm.
So these are all O-Pee-Chee, 81, 83, 84, 85. All of them graded PSA 10.
Mm-hmm.
Sold in a buy it now scenario for a little over $6,300
Wow.
by Martin Sports Cards. And that was earlier this week. So you're talking four cards, four Wayne Gretzky cards, all graded PSA 10s. The best grade that you can get from PSA,
Mm-hmm.
and $6,300. So that's a pretty penny. That made me want to go back and go through my 81, 83, 84, and 85s and see if there was anything that didn't have a dinged corner.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. So a Upper Deck Ultimate Gold Connor McDavid RPA, 1516. So these were numbered out of 15. A BGS 9.5, closed in an actual real live auction that had 31 bids,
Mm-hmm.
and it sold for $6,100. Now, take that with a grain of salt, because that was sold by Probstein, but it was also $15 shipping too, which I found interesting.
Why?
They would charge $15 shipping for a card that netted them $6,100.
Yeah, you think at that point
So,
they would throw in the shipping.
yeah.
They'd be
So
like, you know what, free shipping because you
sure.
spent $6,000 on a card.
Right. So a couple other ones of note. An O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie graded PSA 8. Best offer went for $4,500.
Wow.
A Gordie Howe rookie card, one of the 51-52 Parkhurst.
Mm-hmm.
This was graded a PSA 4. Sold best offer for $4,250.
Mm-hmm.
That's $4,250.
Mm-hmm.
That one actually, they charged $30 shipping for that because it was all fancy shipping. Another Gretzky rookie, a PSA 7, sold for about $1,900. This one I found interesting. A PSA 10, 0506 SPA Future Watch Ovechkin. So the Ovechkin rookie with the auto, they were numbered out of $999. PSA 10 sold for $2,000.
Wow.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. A Connor McDavid Young Gun. This was SGC 100 was the grade on this. So
Sports
SGC
card guarantee.
Yeah, so not PSA, not BGS, but the next one, SGC 100. 100 grades get gold label, kind of like the pristine 10s and BGS get the black label. These get gold labels. One sold for $1,955 was the final, $1,955. But here's my favorite one, my favorite of all of them, my absolute favorite, because since we're doing top 10, this would be my 10th favorite.
Mm-hmm.
A 7980 Topps wax box. Okay. So we all know what wax boxes are. The box that contains all of the packs. This was so Gretzky's rookie year. The Topps. So not the O-Pee-Chee, but the Topps. Wax box with only 29 packs. Box. So it's opened. There were pictures of the box. The box was fairly beat up. And clearly there's packs missing. So 29 packs in the box. The owner claimed to have bought this back in the 90s, and apparently it was given to BBCE, Baseball Card Exchange, who does a lot of inspection and authentication for sealed product. They took a look at it and failed the inspection on it.
It failed their inspection.
Yes, it failed their inspection. They would not certify it, therefore they would not shrink wrap it in their nifty little shrink wrap that they do.
Yes, shrink wrap it and mark it up 400%.
Some things are only 300%. But So it failed BBC inspection. Guy bought it in the 90s, only 29 packs. There were 53 bids in this auction, and it eventually sold for, let's see, can you guess this one?
Man, I am so off base. I don't even know
Yeah,
anymore
you haven't been
because
good so far.
I'm thinking, because I'm thinking $100 a pack times, so that'd be, 10
Times 29.
packs. So 10 packs would be
Yeah.
1,000,
So 29
2,000.
packs times 100.
So 3,000, say $3,000, but no, it's not gonna. It's probably gonna be like six grand.
Incorrect. This sold for $2,550.
Oh, so my $100 a pack wasn't
Yes,
far
you
off.
weren't that far off with $100 a pack on this. Now, again, I find this one extremely interesting because $2,500 for a wax box that could net you a Gretzky rookie that can sell, as we've just seen. I mean, a graded 7 went for $1,900.
But that was an
So
OPG, wasn't it?
that's true. That was an OPG. Did
Yeah,
I
the
have?
tops.
Was there a tops one this week? Most of the tops ones sell for less.
Well, I
But
mean, the high graded tops would sell for a lot, but there, there's more graded tops, Gretzky rookies. So what I've heard is that actually tops had a higher production because just the population is bigger. Even though the U.S. is less into hockey, there's even though the U.S. is less into hockey, there's such a bigger population that even making hockey cards, say like 79, I think that maybe I could be wrong about this, but what I've heard is that there was more tops and O-Pee-Chee product, at
I
least in
mean, it
those
makes
years.
sense. It makes total sense. I mean, you see that across the board in most cases, and just look at generally what the prices go for. Peachy
Hmm.
goes for more than tops
Well,
in
and then on top of that,
99% of the cases.
like a Gretzky rookie O-Pee-Chee was one in every 396 cards, and tops is one in 264 cards. So it's
Sure.
easier to buy. And then also on top of that, you got more cards per pack from a tops pack. So I mean, you buy 10 packs of tops hockey cards, there's a good chance. I mean, if they're not tampered with, there's a great chance that you're going to get a Gretzky rookie. I mean, in fact, if you bought a sealed box, you would get a Gretzky rookie. I mean, when
And
I
that's
would buy,
exactly the key here
yeah,
is if they're not tampered with. And the fact that this had 29 packs in it, you already know there's something missing. What's
yeah,
missing,
that
you
makes
don't
me
really know.
suspicious. Yeah,
And the fact that the largest reseller of wax
sealed,
products and
vintage
sealed
sealed.
products
Yeah,
in the entire country looked at this and said, "Nah."
yeah.
I mean,
The
that
Y
should tell you
fold,
something.
the Y folds in and past their inspection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, but
So
yeah, so that was the fun top 10 of completed auctions for hockey this week that I found pretty
man,
interesting. So,
I gotta find a different line of work because I can't afford any of this stuff.
yeah, you
Um,
need to go get yourself a 7980 O-Pee-Chee uncut sheet.
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe if I sell a lot of Puck Junk T-shirts now available at the Puck Junk shop, shop.puckjunk.com, then maybe I'll be able to afford that uncut O-Pee-Chee
There
sheet,
you go.
or at least an O-Pee-Chee Gretzky rookie ungraded. I'd be good with that too. Um, but shall we move on to our big topic for the
Sure,
day?
let's do it.
So you suggested this, and I liked this idea, and it was if you could pick one set to come back, what set would it be? And I right away I had no problems thinking of sets that I want to see come back. Like I narrowed it down to three, and then from three I narrowed it down to one. Um, and what was kind of funny about that is that they were all from the 90s. Now, either I'm showing my age here because it's easy to like stuff from your childhood or your childhood slash teen years slash young adulthood, the 90s. That's what that was for me. But the thing about the 90s is that there was innovation and the companies were taking chances and there was competition. So they were trying to outdo each other. You had competition, which led to innovation, and it led to risk taking. So the ones that I liked, which I'm It's not my final pick, but the other ones that I had in mind, I really liked the 93-94 Fleer Power Play because I liked the fact that those were tall boy sized, and I'd like to see big cards like that make a comeback. But you know what? There's obviously a lot of problems with storage and pages and stuff like that, so I could see why. And you know what? Maybe that wasn't even like the greatest set. Maybe that's just like nostalgia clouding things for me. I really liked the I think it was 96, 97 Fleer Metal Universe, the one that had all the crazy designs with uh, what's it called? The freaking giant plants and the cybernetic attachments and the explosion backgrounds and Dave Manson in the center of a nucleus and or an atom or like the one goalie with the float. I think it was Curtis Joseph with like the flying eyeballs surrounding him. I mean, just crazy stuff. And I think I liked that set because it was just so crazy, and I liked comic books, and so that was kind of like the merging of these two things for me. And we did talk about this in a podcast many years ago. We did talk about that set. We dedicated a whole episode to that set. But the set that I decided to talk about for what I'd like to see come back was the 1999-2000 Power Deck Hockey by Upper Deck. So for those of you who don't know, Power Deck was a set that came out in 1999-2000. They were $4 a pack. You would get a mini CD-ROM that was business card sized. It's like a business card with rounded edges. And then you would get two just regular standard trading cards. And the idea was with Power Deck was you would take the CD-ROM, you would pop it in your computer, CD tray, and it would have this interactive feature about the player that had like a profile. You clicked on profile. It's like almost like a little mini web page. It had like an interface, and it had like profile, highlight reel, stat zone, Power Deck gallery, which was like a bunch of pictures. You'd cycle through like the picture gallery, 1 of 10, 2 through 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, etc. The highlight reel would play like a 2-minute video with some like kind of quasi rock or sometimes quasi like the one that I hear over and over in a lot of them. It almost sounds like U2's Where the Streets Have No Name. The intro to that song, like that I'm not a musician, so I can't describe things musically, but I hear that and I just think, this is Where the Streets Have No Name, right? Like the beginning of that song.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I did not collect this set when it came out. I got to tell you a little bit about myself in 99, right around there. I was going to art school. I was at the height or near the peak of my action figure collecting days. I was collecting Star Wars. For me in 1999, it was about what new Star Wars figures were coming out. I was not into hockey cards at that point. I'd buy a pack every now and then as a curiosity, like, oh, hockey cards. Hey, I used to buy those. And I remember buying a pack of it was like 2 packs of Upper Deck Vintage for like $4. They were like blister carded, like 2 packs for $4 on a blister card. But
Right.
it's just like, oh, that's kind of neat. But like, so then I was not paying attention to hockey cards. It's like I slept through the whole Pacific thing. Like that whole span of years where Pacific made cards, I just totally missed out on that. And in Upper Deck in the late 90s, I missed a lot of the stuff that they made, like the holographics and like it was a 3D set or something. It was like the set that had like the different designs. I can't recall what it's called because I don't have it. Power Deck was another one where so you'd get these CD-ROMs and you'd pop them in and they'd play little intro music, and then they'd play like a 2-minute clip video, and then you could click around and look, learn about the player. At that time, I was actually a multimedia student at college. I started as a film student and then I segued over into multimedia. So I was actually doing stuff like this, learning how to do stuff like this. And I regret missing out on this because this would have just been my crack back then. Because I mean, I was taking 4 or 5 computer classes on how to, digital design and make multimedia projects and how to digital video edit. And then I was working in the computer lab. So I mean, this just would have been for me. But I missed out on it. I bought the set many years later. I'll get into the specifics about that. But I want to ask you, do you remember that set back in the day?
I do. I have quite a few of those.
Did you buy it? So you bought it back then?
No, I did not. I've picked up singles like over the years after the fact. In fact, um, Power Deck wasn't just in hockey. They had Power Deck in baseball as well. And I remember getting a Ken Griffey Jr. Power Deck,
Hmm.
and I couldn't load it into my CD-ROM drive in the computer we had because our CD-ROM drawer that slid out
Hmm.
didn't have a center ring in it to
Mm-mm.
hold the tiny CD. So it wouldn't fit in there. And it wasn't until years and years later that we had one that actually had, I mean, it had a recessed tray that would hold a regular size CD,
Right.
but the little tiny one it would just drop right through. So years later, we ended up with one that had a recessed one, and I remember thinking just one day out of the blue, sitting there at the computer, and I went to put a CD in the CD-ROM drive, and I went, "Oh my God, my Griffey Power Deck will fit in here." And
Uh-huh.
I went and dug it out and popped it in there to see what it would do, and I remember it wouldn't load. So that was uh, that was my only experience with trying to load one of those up. But again, that was years after the fact. So
Well, what was funny was that like I needed I popped one in before we talked. I watched a few of them just to become reacquainted with it. And it said you must install QuickTime. Do you want to install QuickTime from the CD-ROM? And I'm thinking, no, I think the QuickTime that I download and install now will be like, I don't know, better than the one from 20 years ago. So I had to actually download and install QuickTime because it used QuickTime Player. Um, Actually, what was fun for those of you who are really into computer stuff, these are actually authored with Macromedia Director. If you remember that program, Macromedia Director was like this state-of-the-art software that was specifically for making CD-ROMs. I mean, that's what you would use to make a CD-ROM. It had its own programming language to like make things happen, and you could load video. The idea was you could load pictures, music, video, and text into this one program, and it could handle all of it, which is funny because that's kind of like what a web page does now. That's kind of like what a cell phone does now, which is how I would like to see this set come back. And maybe not by Upper Deck either. Maybe this is something Tops needs to do. In fact, a couple years ago, I was going to write an article. How could Tops improve its skate app? And about a third of the way into brainstorming this idea, I was like, you know what? This really just needs to be Power Deck, but on a phone. Because what did Power Deck have? It had static images, it had statistics, it had sound, it had video. My phone can do all of that stuff. So what I would like to see is I'd like to see a pack of, we'll still call it Power Deck, but whatever you want to call it, you buy a pack of Power Deck. Now it's not going to be two paper or cardboard cards and one CD-ROM because I don't know if a lot of people can't even play CD-ROMs. I burned a CD-ROM for somebody with data on it, and it took the guy a week to find to find a computer that could play it because everything he used was either from the cloud or from a USB thumb drive. I
that's
don't,
true.
yeah. And so what I'd like to see is you buy a pack, a digital pack, and it has maybe 5 random players, like a pack. And like think of it as like a card, and you know how like on Top Skate you flip the card and it flips over, and you actually see it flip, right? You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
So what if instead of it being a card, it was a cube? A cube has 6 sides, right? So you still see one face of the cube, but when you click, it'll rotate, and you click one side and it's like the hero shot of the player, and then you maybe click a corner and it rotates, and then it's all the statistics, and they would update in real time for that season. And then you click and it rotates again, and then it would have like a highlight reel, and then you click and it rotates again, and maybe it'll have like the player's biography. So you could do like one side would be a hero shot, one side would be a biography, one side would be statistics, one side would be a video, one side would be maybe like a photo gallery that you could just kind of flip through, And then even like if the player's been on different teams, just like past photos of other teams he's been on. And then the last side of it could be like your Upper Deck or Tops logo, your NHL logo, your NHLPA logo, your copyright information. I think that would be awesome. That's how I would reimagine Power Deck for today. It would just totally be on a phone, but it would bring in all these things that the CD-ROM did into a mobile app that would actually be very interactive, not just like, there's a picture of the player. There's the stats for the player. Okay. And if you're not playing with it in a game, if they're playable cards like with Top Skate, that's just a bonus in my mind. I would like to see all this other stuff fused together into like a digital trading card.
So, not to, I don't even
Don't
know
burst
what
my
this would be.
bubble.
I'm not going to burst your
So
bubble
you're going
or
to burst my
anything.
bubble.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
All right.
I would say they've come Tops did come close to that with their focus.
Oh, they're
So
15 seconds of video, and
Yeah.
one in every 100 packs, and
Yeah. So if you remember the Top Skate app in 16, 17, they did Tops Focus.
Yes, I like
And
those.
those were the motion cards.
That
They
made me
brought
think
those
about
back.
this.
Well, they brought them back.
Mm-hmm.
They brought them back for this year. They're not called Focus, but they are just motion cards.
Okay.
Now, here's the problem. And this is another getting off topic thing, but they brought them back this year. They started them off in the Galaxy inserts on the Skate app.
Mm-hmm.
Galaxy inserts dropped this morning. They dropped this morning without announcing them until later. So essentially, they dropped a couple hours before the actual announcement happened, and all of the packs were gone. So anybody that wanted them, unless you got up super early in the morning on a Sunday, you were pretty much out of luck because they're not there. At least that's the take that I've gotten from looking at all of the various chat rooms and on Twitter and everything else. Because I didn't see them, but they're still advertising them. But they're Topps motion cards. I haven't been able to view one yet because unless you have it in your own inventory, you can't play them.
Right.
I was told that if you find somebody that has one and you look at their setup, like to do a trade, you can play their version of the card.
Make sure it's not defective.
But I still haven't seen it yet. Yeah, so. But I loved the Topps Focus thing from a few years ago, and I really wondered why they stopped doing that, other than maybe it took up too much, I don't know, too much memory, too much system resources. I don't know what it could have been. Slowed the game down maybe. Because I will tell you, again, this is a off topic, but my wife and I play the nightly games and shifting players in and out. Oh my God. Last night we both got so frustrated. We slammed our phones down. We were like, we're done. Whatever happens, happens.
Was you would but you play those cards with the video because they're only like a × 1 multiplier, right?
Well, I mean, this year's setup is Top Skate 20 has only been out for a little while now, so my inventory of playable cards is not as robust as it has been in previous years. So
right.
I imagine if I had that one and it was somebody worthwhile, I would probably
play them
jump on it and play it. I will tell you that right now, it's going to be a chase set, and I don't know if they're doing it weekly or bi-weekly or what, but they're going to drop the cards, and it's I want to say Shea Weber is the one that's out this time. So for what it's worth, Shea Weber scoring at a defenseman rate is probably a little better than a regular card, but I don't know specifically if those are going to have scoring capabilities or not. But yeah, so it's a motion card. I don't know how it stands up to the Topps Focus from a few years ago, because I haven't seen it work yet. But they have had something like that, and that would have been Topps Focus from quite a few years ago. So
right, I do remember those, and that made me want like more. Whereas like I like this video. They should all have video. They should all have stats. They should all have all these other things. So then and then when you brought up this topic of like what would you like to see come back, I'm like Power Deck, but in a purely digital form. So why don't you talk about the set that you like to see come back? I believe it's also from the 90s.
It's from the late 90s.
Okay.
I was, and we were on the subject, if you were listening earlier in the podcast, talking about Topps and if Topps would ever come back into the hockey market, and that impact and the fact that they're doing stickers now. But back in the day, Topps was a player in the game, and they had a license, and they made hockey cards. And in 98, 99, they debuted a set in hockey called Topps Gold Label. And for some reason, this set has always stuck with me as just being one of my all-time favorite sets. This was billed as like a super premium hockey card set, which at the time in 98, 99, I don't. Super premium was not words that you heard that often when it came to card products, card releases. There wasn't, Upper Deck didn't have the cup. You didn't have, these hockey releases every year that were very rare and cost $500 a box and that kind of thing. But instead, you had Topps Gold Label. So this was a higher end product. It was harder to find.
Did you buy it back then?
I did. When
What
I
did
found
it
it,
cost about?
when I found it, I bought it. Oh boy. I know they were more than $1 a pack, which
Probably like $5 or $6 a pack, maybe.
I don't know if they were that high, but I want to say they were at least $3 a pack, $2.99, maybe more. You could find these retail, but they were also sold by the box in hobby shops. But the key here was the gold label cards, and if you're not familiar with the gold label cards, essentially what you're looking at is a fairly thick card. It's not the thin 20-point card stock that you normally see. This was more of like a 35-point high gloss, thicker card. It's glossy on the back and on the front. It had sort of a prismy finish to it, almost like almost like a hologram but without the hologram. Because I think Upper Deck copyrighted the hologram.
It had like a sheen to it.
It did. It did have a sheen to it. This was an interesting set. There are only 100 cards, so if you have 100 cards in a set, it shouldn't be that difficult to collect the set or put it together and come up with, a full set based off of 100 card checklist. However, back at the time when you would bust open packs, you found that not only were there 100 base cards, but there were also parallels of the base cards.
Okay.
And the parallels were tiered. So this was my first experience with a set that had multiple tiers. So what Gold Label did is all of the main cards in the base set, 1 through 100, were called Class 1. And the Class 1 cards were stamped on the back as Class 1. Each of those 100 also had a Class 2 version, as well as a Class 3 version. Amongst those were also a black parallel version and a red parallel version, and my first exposure to what was a 1 of 1. So this was kind of, to me as a collector, this was sort of revolutionary because I hadn't come across anything that I collected myself. Not that they didn't already exist, because I'm sure they did. But for me, this was my first experience with something that was not only tiered, but had multiple colored parallels and had 1 of 1s available in the set. So the other cool thing about this was the cards 1 through 100, normally when you see base and parallel and all of that, you have the same photo that you use, and it's just they change border color, or they change something on it. each class had a different photo on the
Wow.
card. So when you looked at the main cards, you'll have a picture of the player. You'll have a picture of a player in the background doing something,
Hmm.
shooting the puck, skating away, checking somebody in the boards, whatever. And then you had another shot of the player superimposed on top of it in more of a flat base print
Yeah.
rather than the holographic.
Yeah. Looks kind of weird, honestly, a little bit. Like,
Well, the superimposed miniature version of the player stayed the same in each
okay.
class. The background photo is what changed. And that's what I
Ah.
always thought was cool, is that depending on whether you had class 1, class 2, or class 3, you could tell by either looking at the front photo and realizing it was different, or flipping it over to the back and reading that it was class 1, class 2, or class 3.
Hmm.
Um, the colored parallels, because it's Topps Gold label, the labels in the corner and the names were printed in a gold foil.
Hmm.
The black parallels were in black foil, and the red were
Okay.
in red foil.
Ah.
Also, the reds were serial numbered. So you had the serial number stamped on the cards. And I never actually did pull a 1-of-1 ever, but I assume that the 1-of-1s were stamped on the back as well. But this was, I've always loved this set. I tried to build it way back in the day. Never accomplished that. I've forgot about it for quite a few years and then picked it back up later on. Now, subsequently, they did come out with a gold label set the following year, Topps did,
Hmm.
as well as the year after. So there were 3 years of gold label, but as we all know, Topps and all the other companies disappeared, and Upper Deck took over the production of licensed hockey card products from kind of that point forward in 2000 and 2004 and
0506 is, yeah,
0506, I
yeah.
guess, since '04 was the lockout year. Um, but if first of all, we'd have to get Topps back in the market, and then we could go from there as far as reintroducing the set. They did bring it back in baseball. So with their baseball license, Gold Label does exist currently in baseball, but you know there
So,
there isn't
so
anything like it. Or
how would you make this? Okay, so how would you? You don't have to update it for today, but what would you? I mean, so what I guess I'm trying to understand, because I'm looking at some of the images of the cards. I have the set, but I'm just looking at some of the rare ones online. You like the design. You like the fact that the parallels had different background photos. What would you do with it today? Like, how would you make it today? Would you still do all of that? Would you do all of that and more? Would you still, I mean, would you make them even more different? I mean, because the thing is like, you've shown me like parallels, and I'd be like, oh, that's a parallel, and be like, yeah, you could tell because the background photo is different. And it's like, well, I don't even know what the background photo looks like on the standard card of this player. You know what I mean? So like, to me, it's almost like those class 2 and class 3. They didn't jump out at me like this is a parallel that you should buy. You know what I mean?
many issues are released nowadays where the parallels are almost impossible to tell. Um, Perfect example. Um, you have a few years ago, Opeachy did the playoff beard.
Oh yeah, that was
How
that
did you
was
know what they were? There was no identifying thing on the card that said this was a playoff beard, other than the fact that the guy in the picture had a beard.
right.
And
Which
most of
yeah,
the cards, especially ones with photos taken towards the second half of the season, guys have beards because they
right,
grow them out. And by the
right,
time you get to April, most guys have them.
right,
So it was hard to say, okay, this is a playoff beard parallel, this is not.
right.
You see that in a lot of products across the board where, unless they've physically changed something on the card to tell you one way or another, then you have no idea. With the gold label, on the front, the photos are different, so I can understand, okay, how do I know this is a 1, 2, or a 3 based on the photo when I don't even know what the 1 is? Well,
Mm-hmm.
every single one of them on the back of the card identifies that it's a 1 or a 2 or a
Oh,
3.
okay.
So there's no there's no question as to, oh, I don't know if this is a 1 or this is 2. All you have to do, flip the card over, and right above the logo of the team
Oh yeah,
on the
class two.
left-hand
I see
side,
it.
it'll
Yeah.
say Class 1, Class 2, or Class 3. The back photos are the same on all of the series,
Yep.
but it's just that background front photo that's different. They're full bleed pictures. So this is edge to edge. Granted, the background photo is kind of touched up a little bit, and a lot of them are, depending on which photo it is, it could be anything from just the player doing something, or for instance, on the Class 3 Chris Pronger card, which I just have in my hand here. It's Chris Pronger, hugging and high fiving all the rest of his teammates
Mm-hmm.
with like Marty Reasoner and Pavel Dimitra and somebody else I can't see in the background. But, you know, so it's a completely different shot from what the regular card is.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's any question, you just flip it over and look on the back and you can say, oh, this is what it is. The only thing I might change on these, honestly, I think the front design of the 98-99 set is outstanding. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
great. I love it. Edge to edge, no border, the shiny.
Mm-hmm.
You got to love the shiny. Um, some foil print. You got all of that going on. The backs are a little generic. No more generic than many of the backs of a lot of the cards these days.
Right.
Uh, for instance, we looked at MVP last week. MVP has a little logo of the team, the player name, the vitals, a few years of stats, and then a giant logo of, what brand it is, being
Mm-hmm.
that it's MVP. The backs of these had a player photo, which was different. It was a third photo,
Mm-hmm.
different from the two on the front.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, Same kind of things with the vitals and stuff. But this did the one thing that I hate on most cards, but for some reason it works for these, and that's a career total
Mm-hmm.
rather than individual years. So if I was to do anything different on it, I might throw um, line item statistics on there year by
Mm-hmm.
year. Obviously, the print would have to be smaller on there. Um, but other than that, I think this is. I mean, in the last 20 years, this is one of my favorite sets that have come out. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but I don't know that I would change much.
Nah, I mean, we like what we like, and
Yeah,
and you gave some really compelling reasons to like that. And yeah, it's a nice looking set, but then it has the different tiers. So if you want to keep collecting it, you can. And there's actually, I do like the fact that there are some differences in the photos. And it's funny you brought up that I mean, now we I don't say we take, maybe we took it for granted back then, the photo on the back being different than the photo on the front. And now it's like a lot of times it's the same picture, the front and back photos the same. Whereas 20 years ago, 25 years ago, if they used the same photo, we would be like, oh, they must not have been able to find a second photo of that player. You know what I mean? It was like maybe it was a guy who was traded or a rookie or something. I'm thinking of like pro set cards where like a lot of times they'd recycle the photo from the front onto the back. Whereas a lot of the other companies they'd use two different photos, and now it's pretty much the same photo on the front as on the back, but maybe just cropped differently, or maybe it has the background and not the background, or maybe it's in color and maybe it's in black and white, or maybe it's
sure.
cut out or not cut out. Yeah, so that's a good point. That little that little fact that there's a photo on the back that's different, and that's something we don't the good old days, right?
Yeah, and because I'm not involved with that whole thing, I don't know, but I can only speculate that I don't know, maybe for every photo you put on the card, it's more money. Like it
Yes.
costs more.
Yes.
Instead of being a tenth of a cent to produce one, maybe it's now 2/10 of a cent or
I
something.
will tell you this, back in the here's a fun little factoid that I know. And I'm going to get these numbers wrong. I'll have to look them up. It was a conversation I had with somebody who did hockey card photography, and he was telling me that back in the day, like in the 80s, Tops would pay him like something like $7.50 to use a photo. And then when ProSet came along, they were like, "Oh yeah, we'll pay you $18 a photo," and he was just like, $18 a photo. Oh my God. And then he was just like, so he was giving all his best stuff to ProSet because they were paying more than twice of what Topps was paying. And I have
no
these
wonder when
numbers.
they went out of business.
What? Who?
I said, no wonder they went out of business.
Who? ProSet?
Paying $18 for photos that Topps was paying $7.
Well, but if you pay more money, you're going to get a better. I mean, obviously, if you have two pictures of Gary Suter, you're going to sell both of them, but you're going to sell the nicer one to ProSet or to Upper Deck or whatever. But now I know that if a company buys a photo, because the rights are managed differently now than it was 30 years ago, they're paying like $400 to use that photo.
Think about that, and even if those numbers aren't correct, if they're ballpark,
Yeah,
Topps pays $8 for a photo, right?
Yeah.
ProSet pays 18 for the same photo.
Right.
Fast forward a little bit, ProSet's out of business. Topps isn't. Their marketing's changed a little bit, but they still exist. They're still a viable company. But you look at those particular cards and the designs of those cards and what those cards hold. Think about where you find the ProSet cards versus where you find Topps. Yeah, maybe 1990, 91, 92. Those are all in the, nickel and dime boxes. But
right.
For the most part, ProSet is like, I mean, I know how you feel about ProSet.
Well, ProSet
I don't want to use the word garbage
for a lot of other reasons. That wasn't necessarily it. We'll get into that in another show. That would actually make a great conversation. But getting back to the gold label, yeah, it's pretty cool. Anything you want to add to that before we wrap it up?
I would like to add that anybody listening that has 98, 99 gold label and would like to give them to me, feel free.
Okay, you heard it. They can find you. They can find you on Twitter at @TheRealDFG. Is that correct?
Yes, they can. They can find my blog, also The Real DFG. I'm out there.
Yeah,
people
I saw
you've
been updating that blog quite regularly now.
I've been trying. I like to
one
crawl.
About Crosby's first goal, and you did. Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm glad to see that's.
I crawl out of the woodwork every once in a while. Making
a comeback. So yeah, all right. Well, thanks for everyone for listening. Like I said, if you want to get in touch with Tim, you can find him on Twitter at @TheRealDFG. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at PuckJunk. And if you like this site, if you like this podcast, please consider buying a shirt from shop.puckjunk.com. And until next week, thanks for listening.
For more hockey goodness, follow us on Twitter @PuckJunk.